Good morning, it's Owen Cox here from Autoterm UK. I just wanted to do a quick video on how to use the comfort controller. I'm going to do two of them, one of them on an air heater and one of them on a liquid heater. The firmware has been changed fairly recently, so the previous videos I've done don't show the latest version, so they need updating. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that just now. Thanks for watching. Right, here's a comfort controller fitted in my own van, VW Crafter. I fitted it up the top here so it's out of the way. Very handy little spot for it. Now, okay, there's a bit of flicker on there. There we are. Just got a good spot. Right, so what we got. First of all, a couple of ways of starting it up. What I'll do, show you first of all the fast way of starting it. All the menus are accessed by pressing the button, and you can turn temperatures and things up and down with that. Back button just gets you back to wherever you are. Press and hold this button and it will just start and run on whatever the last settings were that you had it on, which is very handy. So it's running for an hour there. I can't remember what the temperature set point is, but anyway, that's what it does there. 20 degrees I had it set to, so let's put it up to 24. It'll run for an hour and that's it. Anyway, now I shall stop it again and then I'll show you how to start it the manual way. So what we do normally, if you push this one, you get heating. So we want it to heat. You also get a ventilation mode and you get the settings. So if you want to adjust the fan, you put it on ventilation mode, push the button, and then you select the speed and it will run, and you select the time, how long you want the time to run for, and there you go. It'll run now at that set time. So what we do now, off. Obviously we've got the readout here, 17 degrees in here at the moment, 18 minutes past 12, 12.6 volts in the battery, and that's that. Then I've got, so we'll push it again. What we'll do now is going to, right, you've got timers. I've got a few timers set. So if you adjust the timer, you can set that to whenever you want it to come on. Let's say it's 9:30. You want it to run at that time for 90 minutes and then it will stop, and you want to do that every day, or you can do working days, or you can select specific days. So you can do Monday, Tuesday, and let's say you have Wednesday off or something. You can do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But what you can do is set one for all the working days, as it had so let's say you're going to work at 8:30. I would set it for 7:30. You'll run it for 90 minutes. It'll be roasting warm, ready to go, defrosted, all set. And you can do that for working days, Monday to Friday. Now you get to choose which mode it comes on in. So it'd be heating or just heat and ventilation, which is the like ticking ventilation mode in the old style ones, or ventilation only. So what we'll do, heating and ventilation. So basically when it reaches temperature, bear in mind the set points of what you've got the differential set to, which I'll come to later. It will stop and it will just ventilate. If you have it on heating, it will just heat, but it will also, depending on what mode it's in, see, that's setting it has now made it enabled, so now the option is to disable it if you wanted to. And now you'll see it's clicked on there, you've got a cross on there. You can set 3 separate timers, so you could set one for Monday to Friday and another one for Saturday, Sunday, or any day. You can set them all to either day there, any of those days, so that's really handy. Once you've done that, you'll see it's at working days, and that is on already. That shows that it's lined up to start, so that's very handy. So then settings now, so you got your time and date, that's pretty obvious. All pretty self-explanatory. You can change it up and down. There we go. And then you got display options, obviously languages. There's various different language packs for these, so some of them have French, some of them have German. This one doesn't, is Italian and Spanish and English. That all just varies depending on what country you bought them in. They can be updated with new firmware, which would cover new language packs as well, if necessary. So the units, metric or imperial. Obviously for temperature, brightness. Again, you can turn that up and down. So you can put a screensaver on these, which shows you time. Let's do a 20-second one and you can see what it does. There you go. You get the temperature, the time, and the date, and that will stay there all the time. I turn it off generally, but I suppose now I've got a solar panel on, it doesn't really matter, but it does obviously use more power the more the screensaver is on. So we'll go back into settings again. You got heater sensors, right? So this is where you get some actual heater options. So you can do which temperature sensor do you want it to measure from. So you buy a heater. In this van, the heater is underneath the van. It's only just had very brief air passing over it, so it hasn't adjusted to the inside temperature of the vehicle as yet because it hasn't been running. But obviously it's reading 17 degrees up here over the windscreen, and 11 degrees at the heater. That would soon change the minute you run it. So, but you can select whichever one of those you want to do. You just select there and put that one on instead. So by heater, I tend to use this one by panel, but just play with them, find out what works best for you. Every installation is different. Here's an interesting section. The shutdown voltage that the heater shuts off at, I've got it disabled at the moment, but I can put it to say 11.5. So if the battery voltage gets below that for 3 minutes, and you can set that longer or shorter, whatever you want. So 3 minutes is the standard. Then and what I'll do is actually sorry, that's, yeah, it was enabled. If you do that, disables it. So yeah, 11.5 volts for more than 3 minutes, it will shut down. Now I know in this van, when the battery reads 11.5 volts, it will still start again. So that's the reason I've done it like that. If I was using it overnight, I'm running it off the engine battery, it will still start at 11.5 volts. So I leave it to do that. Next setting is the LED. Now you can have LEDs on or off. Now LED on, and that's these LEDs around here. And what you'll find then is, if you start the heater, the LED will come on. Right, and it says red for heating. So you know it's running. That's those LEDs around the bottom. If there's any fault, you get them flashing, whatever, as well. But that's that. So when it's running, to turn it off, you just turn to the next one, push again, and it will say switching off. And it'll go down its shutdown time. Obviously, I haven't actually run it for any length of time now, so it will take a while for that to, it won't take very long for that to stop. But if the heater's been running and it's very hot, then it's going to take a while. See, I've just kicked, because I've run the heater now, it's kicked in my solar panel again from storage mode. So the voltage has come back up again. So I've got 13.3 now because it's quite bright outside. Right, settings again, and that's basically all the settings there are in there. You've got heating mode. Now then, we have the various modes on here. You got temperature mode, which is the sort of standard one that I use. That will run, it runs the heater at whatever power is necessary. So if you've got it set to 20 degrees, oh hang on, yeah, 20 degrees, and it's 10 outside, 10 inside, it will run flat out to try and get up there. When it gets up there, about 3 degrees before, depending on what settings you've got, it will start to ramp down the heater, and by the time it reaches the actual set point value, it will have ramped down to its minimum power. Then it will stay at its minimum power, and if the temperature keeps going up in temperature mode, it just ramps down. It'll carry on going, and eventually it will shut down, but on like a there's an overheat protection within the heater. So that's temperature mode. It stops sorry, it doesn't stop in that mode at all. It just runs, and it will ramp down, so it will vary with temperature. It cuts down from power level 10, which is the maximum power, down to power level 1, which is the minimum, which will be just like in power mode, but the power mode is manually set. In power mode, you get the bar chart come up like that, and you set it to whichever one, and it will just stay at that power level. But these are the same 10 power levels that it can select itself. So in temperature mode, it'll run flat out at the beginning. As it gets closer towards, say, 3 degrees before, it will start dropping down, and you'll hear the heater slow down, slow down, slow down, and eventually it will sit at that level. I'll go back. Then we've got other, so that's just a fixed mode, fixed power, heat and ventilation. So this will run now, same as temperature mode, but it also has ventilation. So depending on what the settings are set to, it will ramp down, it will sit at minimum, and then depending on the set amount, it will go over 1 degree to 5 degrees I think is the possibility, and it will then shut down the heater. And it will just be in ventilation mode on there when it's shut down, so the air is still circulating. Now thermostat mode is a new mode. If we use that mode, basically what it does is it will run at full power, not full power, it runs at power level 8, which means that it doesn't come up in temperature quite so quickly, and it will go until it reaches the set point at that same power level 8. It will then, once it gets to the point of going over the set value, there's a hysteresis value that I will show you in a bit. Once it goes over that by the amount that you've set, it will then just shut down the heater completely. It will go down its cool down process and it will stop. Then by the set value of the differential, it will then restart once it's cooled down again, and it'll restart and run at power 8 again. This is quite a comfortable mode. Because it's on power level 8, it means that it's not running flat out and overshooting by miles the value if the heater's sized correctly, and also it won't be stopping too frequently, but you can alter that by changing the gap, the temperature differential. So I just have to remember where that is. I'm sure it's in settings. It's in the advanced settings. Here we go. I forgot to show you that. So thermostat, this is the hysteresis. So you can go up 3 degrees, so that it'll go set point, it'll go over 3 degrees, and then it will stop. Now I tend to have this on 1, which I think is the standard factory setting. And then you can have the minimum, so this is, it then goes 2 degrees below, up to 7 degrees below, and then it restarts the heater. So that's a really handy setting that we've never been able to do before, and it means there you can adjust it very closely to whatever you want. That's very useful. And then, which is quite handy, if you ever need to see the serial number of the heater, the top line is the heater serial number. It's also got the software version in the heater, and I think that working time is the running hours of it, so I've not done too many hours with this one. Work time, I think that's supposed to be. And then you've got, this is a serial number and version number of the software in the comfort control. So that's all very handy. But that's about it on there, really. Let me just see if there was any more modes that we could go in. Heating, temperature mode, power mode, ventilation, thermostat mode, and there you go, back to the beginning. So when you start the heater, the way to start it, if you're doing it the sort of manual start way, heating, yes, I want it in heating. I want it in temperature mode for me, 24 degrees, and I want it to run for an hour, which you can go to infinite if you want it to just stay running. Or you can set it to whatever you want. Now it'll run for an hour, and it tells you how long it's going to run for, what time it started, and how long it's going to run for is all in there, and it's still showing you that the timer's on as well. So that's it. That's the comfort controller. Very handy. Really the best controller they've ever made. And there it goes back into standby, screensaver mode. And the LEDs are on. And now my heater will shortly fire up. Thanks for watching.